Welcome, everyone. We are live. It is the Around the Ballpark episode number 57, and I am your host, Mike Redman, alongside my co-host and brother, Darren Redman, and it is Sunday night, December 22nd, 8:30 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are on already, if not, you'll catch us up. Super excited tonight to talk about what we're going to talk about. No guests tonight. Tonight is just the two of us. We're just going to talk about everything that is related to the sports world right now here in Christmas season. But want to celebrate first and foremost that we have met our goal of 1,500 subscribers. That is amazing. We set that goal out just a few months ago when we were just over 1,000 subscribers, and just as of 2 days ago we were able to hit that goal. So thank each and every one of you for being here consistently each and every week, whether you're watching us live, whether you're watching us later in the night, whether you're in the morning, whatever you're doing. Thank you so much. So exciting things are coming on the way as we continue to grow. And of course, that next goal will be 2,000 subscribers sometime by the spring of next year at the latest. So without that said, Darren, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic, Mike. Just doing really well. Christmas season, can't beat that. End of the year stuff going on, just so much I want to talk to you about that you don't even know, because you are wonderful at asking our guests very good questions. You're well prepared. You prepare the guests, not that they know what the questions are, but you kind of, hey, here's what we're going to be. And I've been doing this a long time. I mean, the hair on my back is now gray. So you know what that's like. So you know what I'm saying? So seriously, so I'm going to ask you a few questions tonight too. So that's going to be a lot of fun because usually you're the one asking the questions.
Yeah, it'll be different. I love these. As exciting as it is, we love each one of our guests. Sometimes whether it's planned that it's just the two of us, or if it just turns out that way, sometimes those are the most fun, just because we can kind of go all over the place. And thank you, Joe. Thank you, Brian. Thank you a few others that are here with us. Thank you for joining us a little bit later than usual. Aiden had to work tonight, my son, so just had to come on just a little bit later. So appreciate you bearing with us for that. And I wanted to start, of course, and Darren, you'll get into our sponsor here. But before we share about that, we just actually got off the phone speaking with Christopher Bennett just a few minutes ago. It's like, hey, how you doing? Just checking in. And instead of saying hi or anything, he sent me a photo that he's got field passes for the Tampa Bay Bucks game tonight in Dallas. He's actually on the field right now in Dallas as we speak. Well, probably not right now. That was probably earlier because I think the game just started. But he was on the field in Dallas tonight.
How great is that?
For that game. So how awesome. He worked so hard. Company worked so hard. We got to actually see National Tax Solutions at the Family Christmas Extravaganza yesterday. So it's awesome to see their tent out there and supporting and the community getting to know who National Tax Solutions is. So that was really awesome. And thank you, Joe. I see Dallas is up 3-0 on Tampa. So I think that's a typo because Dallas usually does not go up on anybody. So Joe, if you can confirm if that was a typo or if
you know why there are no tornadoes in Dallas, right?
Why not?
No touchdowns.
That's a good one. You would have thought I heard that by now. I have not heard that one yet. So
right.
I Marianne, I know her. Mom is here. 58 yards field goal.
And you would think that she would be. It's weird. She's asking if we're high. I mean, that's wrong. That's just wrong. Oh, H-I. I can't spell. I'm sorry. That's just.
58-yard field goal. That is impressive.
58, wow.
And if you missed any of the NFL action, I got to see some today. Had some, one of my favorite things to do after a Sunday service is having a bunch of wings with a bunch of fries with a bunch of sauce. So I was able to do that today. But as you can tell on the bottom of the screen there, we got all our scores for the day scrolling through. So if you can't catch it the first time because it's going kind of fast, wait till the second or third loop. You'll see where we're at. So, Darren, if you wouldn't mind just sharing about our sponsor.
So, attention, Palm Bay and everyone else. Listen, end of the year, people think about taxes, right? I mean, you want to either jump ahead, get your tax return right away the new year, and you got tax troubles. Nashville Tax Solutions has got you covered. Whether you're behind on returns, you're facing a lien, or you just need some expert advice, their team is ready to help. So here, look at that. Wow. So, hear what clients have to say. I was not expecting.
And wait, I got to do this.
Wait, I love it. Look at that. Look at that. I just love it. And listen, I'm ready to wear my Nashville Tax Solution shirt when we do this live show. Chris Bennett and his team saved me from my financial nightmare. I don't usually talk about that kind of thing, but it happened, right? They're knowledgeable, they're clear, and they're compassionate. So don't let taxes stress you out. Reach out to Nashville Tax Solutions today. Call 615-502-2250. Visit NashvilleTaxSolutions.com or email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com. Nashville Tax Solutions, where resolution is achieved. Wow, he is upper right-hand corner guy.
Yeah, I figured we like him so much, we'll let him stay up there the whole podcast.
I think that's a great idea.
Yes.
Look at it. What, you want to see something really cool? Oh, wrong hand, because he's my look at. I got a Chris Bennett puppet. I got a Chris Bennett puppet.
Yep. And I'm sure if he wasn't at the Dallas game right now, he'd be now that's next level technology. Get his mouth to move a little bit and stuff like that. But we'll get there. But that mom says don't know anything about sports, but I just wanted to say hi. Sure you do.
You could just hang out with us. Trust me. Yeah. We're like we're going to be all over the map.
Yes, and I promise
we may talk about some sports, and then we're talking about I don't know.
Yes, I promise that Bold and the Beautiful episode is on the way. We'll get there. Sometime in 2025, maybe. Perhaps.
With the evil twin.
Yes. Yep. Oh, and Heather, thanks for joining us as well. Mom is definitely not a Yankee fan. She's a whoever I'm a fan. So
yes, she's a fan of Michael.
Yes, and so I want to start before we get into the sports talk. I just as we were talking before we came online, how yesterday was the 16th annual Family Christmas Extravaganza. We actually had a podcast a couple months back about what that was. So those of you not familiar with that, here in Palm Bay, Florida, which is now the 13th largest city in the entire state of Florida, if you can believe it, population-wise, not things to do-wise, but population-wise. And so we gather once a year, third Saturday of December for the Family Christmas Extravaganza. Check us out, familychristmasextravaganza.com. But at this event, it is completely free. So from parking to the food to the entertainment, all the attractions that we provide, you don't pay a dime. You leave everything at home except for your driver's license if you're driving there. And each year it gets bigger and better. This year we had a snow pit, we had a car show, so a rock wall. So it is growing and it's continued to grow. Don't have the final numbers as of yet, but we're believing that it was close to 28,000 people. So that is super awesome. So we'll confirm that. But this year we had, for the first time, we did an Extravaganza's Got Talent. We invited local talent from all around Brevard County to perform for us. We had 9 acts selected, so they each got to perform 2 different pocket windows, and it was awesome, fantastic time. We had our top 3. They brought home $1,900 in total prizes. First place was $1,000. Our winner, we were able to provide and send them a check, so that was super cool. You're good to come in. You're okay. They can't see you. So
there's nobody there. There's nobody there.
Yep. So it was just an awesome opportunity to get meet those 9 people and just let them perform on that stage, because even if they didn't go home with a cash prize, they were able to perform in front of hundreds and thousands of people. So that was a win-win. We had Unified Sound, which is an awesome worship band. They are under the Hillsong umbrella. So those of you familiar with Hillsong Worship, they're actually under that banner. So they were great as always. Of course, the inflatables, you had cotton candy, popcorn, free water, hot dogs. I think we got rid of 6,400 hot dogs in a matter of 5 hours.
6,400 hot dogs and none for me. That's just wrong. That's wrong.
Well, I'll ship you one if you'd like, but we do have the bun. So, true story with hot dogs. I love hot dogs at a game or whatever. I don't crave them that much, but you talk about different experience. Hot dog on Martin's bread is a completely different experience than it is for a regular hot dog on the Dollar Tree hot dog bun.
And I will tell you this, and I love the Sabret hot dog. I love the Coney Island hot dog. We know that, right? But I will tell you, people, my friends, our fans, our followers in Chicago or know of a Chicago hot dog, celery salt on a hot dog is a game changer.
It is
a game changer. People write in the comments if you've had it before. It is amazing. Well worth it. Makes a Chicago dog a Chicago dog. But
now, fun fact, I have never. Now, I feel like I wouldn't. I might have had a bite, so I don't want to say never, but I believe I have never actually had ketchup on a hot dog. I know that's like you go either way. I don't know too many people that like both ways, but I've actually never had ketchup on a hot dog before.
No, I have. My wife loves ketchup on a hot dog. But here's what I would say about ketchup on a hot dog. Like personally, I never walked on hot coals. Don't really want to. Same thing with ketchup on a hot dog. It's just
that's just not my thing. I've never,
seriously, if I might get somewhat serious for a question, you and this wonderful presentation that was this weekend. How do you not get overwhelmed with that?
It's easy to get overwhelmed. I'm struggling right now. I feel like my voice is starting to go. So
brown mustard, by the way, Joe, you're absolutely right. Brown mustard.
Yes.
Yellow's, brown mustard. Anybody else knows anything about food? Come on in. Let's talk about food. But go ahead.
Red onions got to be on there too, for sure. But it's easy to get overwhelmed with an event that size. We started our first ever extravaganza. We had 300 people with a budget of $300. And now it's grown into over $50,000 in donations coming in.
It's an amazing thing.
Partners that are coming together, local churches, local businesses, saying we believe in the vision, and so it's just beautiful to see. But we had about 240 volunteers this year that showed up, and we couldn't do it without all of them. Each person, we have different teams. We meet once a week from July.
That's my next question. Was when does the planning start? When something can't grow that big and be done correctly without a lot of forethought, and kind of walk through that.
Yeah. So every Monday, starting in July, we have our initial meeting in July, where we just kind of come together and we just pray for one another. We talk about nothing logistically. It's just praying for each other, checking in with everyone. And then starting in August, we hit it week to week, meeting after meeting every Monday night. And we have the department head of each team. So for example, I was the project manager this year, but we had Eileen, who was over the toy department. And praise God for that. We donated over 3,800 toys this year. We were expected to get 1,000 toys, and we got 3,800 toys. So we were able to bless every single family that came in, left with one or more toys, which is awesome. So each team, like I said, logistics team, bounce house team with the inflatables. We had 9 large inflatables. We had a face painting team. We had a green room team that fed our volunteers breakfast and lunch. Shout out to Starbucks and McDonald's for providing coffee and breakfast for us. We had a car show. Well, we did have a car show, but didn't have a team for that. But the parking team, the security team kept us safe. We pray over the grounds the night before. We walk the entire property and pray over there that no children would be lost, or we call it no parent will be lost that day. And just start to finish, it's awesome. Yes, I'm exhausted. I feel like I got banged up and bruised and everything, and I gave everything that I possibly had. Right now, my house looks like Amazon threw up all over the living room. There's boxes and packages all over the place because couldn't go anywhere to shop because I'm constantly involved with those things. So really the only way to not get burnt out is if you're having a day where you're focusing on that, that's what you're focusing on.
People, I know we're going to talk about a lot of sports, so don't worry about that. But
you're going to get there.
You're in my wheelhouse of something I really treasure, and that's building a team and letting that team do what they do. I often see people who have great ideas fail because they are too afraid to trust the people they work alongside. They don't work for you; they work alongside you. We have different responsibilities. That's what Darren Redmond. That's the way I look at it. So, explain how you learned that trust, because it was just like a little thing, $300, and you grow. And there's a time when you have to pray on it and you have to say, hey, I trust this person, this human, to do this. I'm going to follow up, hold them accountable, and everything else. Talk about that, what that's like.
Yeah, so it's about developing relationships. So basically, if you have a partner that comes in at a certain amount, or you have a volunteer, you want to make sure that person's not being contacted when it's time for the extravaganza you usher. You have to make sure, whether it's yourself or your different leads, they're reaching out to their team members and they're checking in. They're making sure they're doing okay. We're not asking them for anything. We're just checking in throughout the year, keeping that communication open. So that way, when it's time to perform and execute, they're ready to go. And they feel like you're not taking them for granted, whether it's a partner or a volunteer. And so, like, for example, Thrifty Specialty Produce is our biggest sponsor. But we make sure all year round we're in contact with them, just thinking on them, loving on them for what they do to us, because without them wouldn't be possible. So that's really how that goes. And so, one of the things we do really well is if a leader has to step down over a certain area, we really try to make sure that next person in line has all the information that they need. And if they don't, for whatever reason, all the leads come together to fill that need. And then we make sure with our actions, issues, problems, resolutions, that we improve on that the next year. So of course we'll have appreciation dinner. We'll have a debrief. What the word that God gave to me with this year was called get better, got better. What can we get better at? And what did we, get better at? And how did we get better from the year before? So that's really what I want to press in.
So the Jets and the Mets the Mets this year, they did. The Jets don't go to meetings like that. Get better, got better.
No, they have no interest in such a thing. And we do have to spend some minutes on the New York Jets offense. It's awesome. 9 points today. That is amazing.
But they were quality.
Yes, quality points. They had a lead at some point, I think, early on.
Yes.
Yep. And so, yes, Joe, relationships, exactly. So definitely have some, I'm hoping to have, whether next week or the week after, we have a 2.5 minute video of the whole experience. It's like a short video. And so live on the podcast, either next Sunday or the following after, we'll actually show that video of the extravaganza. So you can kind of see, our listeners can see everything that it's all about. But shout out again to all those contestants that came and performed. It was a blast. So as we kind of move into the next thing, so some of you are here for sports, some of you are here just to hang out. So whatever you're here for, we appreciate you. Really want to dive into a little NFL talk and then some MLB free agency as well right after that. But starting with the NFL. So today, a lot of teams were eliminated. The Dallas Cowboys were eliminated before they even got to play their game this evening. Same with, and then the 49ers were eliminated. The Saints were eliminated. And my Carolina Panthers, 4-11, they're much better than their record indicates, defeated the Arizona Cardinals in overtime. So the Cardinals are also out now. So you have the Rams and the Seahawks battling for that final spot. But is there a game in particular, Darren, that stood out to you? I'll start with one, and then if you have one that really stood out to you or results, because obviously we can't watch all these games. But to me, and it's the same game, we can chat about it. To me, the game of the day was the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. Was just like a slugfest back and forth. Although the Eagles seemed that they were going to run away with it, Washington came back and made it interesting and just 5 touchdown passes, I believe. So for me, that was the game of the day. Just hard hitting. You could tell these guys don't like each other, and so it was just awesome game to see. I watched the majority of that game, but
No, I would totally agree with you. With one caveat, one sort of B that I do want to talk about in a second. But that was the game, right? I mean, that was the tightest game. And aren't the Washington Commanders fun? They are a fun
really
team
are.
to watch.
Yeah,
and I'm not a Philly hater. I'm really not.
right.
Maybe the Flyers, but Washington is just not, because nobody respects that team. I mean, if there's any team that's respected less than the Jets, it's usually Washington, or in your case, Carolina, right? Both of our teams are not respected very much. But Carolina, by the way, I'm a big Bryce Young fan. I love that he came back, came back, and he's playing very, very well. He can start on a lot of teams right now in the NFL. Commanders, great game. The other game I was going to say was, believe it or not, the Patriots and the Bills. I'll tell you why. The Bills got away with one.
Yeah.
They were losing that game. And that's the kind of game you just can't lose at home. When you're trying to get positioning and other things. I mean, they won't get cheese, but at least they mathematically can. But they had to win that game, and they almost lost it. Yeah. So those were the two games that stood out to me.
Yeah, and division rivalries, that's why you can never take it for granted. There's something about you got to beat the teams that you got to beat, but those division games, anything can happen. I mean, look like Cleveland Browns. They're looking terrible these last couple of weeks, but they showed up they beat Baltimore, they beat Pittsburgh early in the season. So,
and speaking about rivalry games, how the Ravens just killed the Steelers yesterday.
Oh,
they just tossed them like salad. It was terrible.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that. Of course, I didn't get to see anything of that outside of the final score. But yeah, right. You're right. Another I didn't get to see this game, but by the score, it looked like it was a competitive. The Vikings Seahawks 27-24. Has there been a more quiet 13-2 team than the Minnesota Vikings this season? I feel like there's so many teams that we talk about. We talk about Buffalo and Kansas City and Detroit and Philadelphia, but the Minnesota Vikings are now sitting there at 13-2, I believe. And so that's just remarkable. And big win.
Sam Darnold is just talk about somebody who just emerged again as just somebody that people call it a bust. And I hate that. We can talk about that sometime because, just because a young guy comes in a situation, bad coaching, whatever the case may be, oh, he stinks. Well, we're seeing time and again, right? Baker Mayfield. We talked about that with a wonderful guest last week. He's a wonderful quarterback. Sam Darnold had to go around the league. The Jets got rid of him. And this guy's just tearing it up right now.
He really is. And they're an exciting team to watch. And every time you can't help. I know. So I'm assuming it's flipped now. So if you pull up the NFL standings and you look at or playoff and you see 1-2, and then you're going to see the Philadelphia Eagles sitting there at 12-3 in the 5 seed. It's just
crazy.
Awkward. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I get it. It's just crazy when you. What
I like to do is, if you don't mind, we'll go back to football. We'll talk college in a second, but I want to talk to you about baseball. I want to talk to you specifically about the death of Ricky Henderson. I mean, he is your wheelhouse. Your age. You knew his whole career. You know the 9,007 teams he played on. So if you don't mind, spend a couple of minutes on Ricky. Your thoughts of him, legacy. When you think back to Ricky Henderson, when somebody after services asks you one day, "Hey, never heard this Ricky Henderson. Tell me about him." What would you say?
So we can go in a couple of different directions with that, but for example, if you're looking strictly at baseball, so if you say New York Yankees, 2 or 3 names just pop right out. Not many teams that you would say where it would be that 1 to 5 second where it would just shoot that out. You would take 5 to 10 seconds and you go, okay, him, okay, this guy. But what makes Ricky Henderson so unique, or made him so unique, and maybe some people you ask who are the 50 greatest players of all time, and he might not even make some of those lists. But what made him unique was you say Oakland A's and his name just comes out.
Me too. Yep.
Synonymously right away. I find peace in the fact. I'm sorry.
It's like a cat with a flashlight. It's a cat with a flashlight.
Yes, and so one thing I wanted to mention when in terms of Ricky Henderson, he got to have that moment this season with his daughter where she threw the first pitch, and you know, I'm grateful that they had that moment, that opportunity this year. That was awesome. But what a special ball player! I mean, you get, if he gets on base, you feel like he's just going to steal all three bags. He was just that kind of dynamic player, and I did have the opportunity to see him play a couple times. I remember one time in the Yankee Stadium, I think it was Bat Day, and I remember that specifically, and being excited to be there for that. But just so many different memories of him and what he meant. And Ricky was Ricky. He was unique.
He was Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky being Ricky. So, what about your same question? I know you don't want to ask the question, but
no, that's great. No, so it's amazing what time does. I was always giving that man his flowers for being the best leadoff hitter in the world. Home runs, more home runs and leadoff spot than anybody else. If he got on first, he got on second. You walked a double, basically, right? If you walked him, he walked a double. So, and there were times where he looked extra lazy in the outfield, but he really wasn't he a precursor to today's athlete, right? He spoke about himself in third person. Now everybody does, right? Ricky's having a bad day,
Yes, bring you back to The Rock. Sometimes we'll talk WWE on this channel here, but The Rock, always synonymous third person in his WWE world. But yeah, and so just what a career. There's so many people that you think of Ricky Henderson, you think stolen bases. So many people. I remember, I believe Billy Hamilton comes to mind. He was someone who you never really want to be. I don't think anybody wants to be labeled the next so and so, because everybody wants to be their own person. But the downfall with Billy Hamilton was just not getting on base enough. I mean, he had as many stolen bases as he had, but he couldn't get on base enough to warrant holding down that position for a long period of time. It didn't quite work out for him in the major league level as the success he had in the minor leagues. But so Ricky Henderson, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really somebody that probably not going to see anyone like that again in our lifetime. No. Just for many, many different reasons.
No, sure. Listen, we talk a lot of minor league baseball on the show as well. And one of the last times we were able to see him was, Joe, I don't think Ricky stole your lunch. If he did, that's a good story. And we need to get you on the show. That would be great. And what does Ricky have for lunch? Anyway, Ricky loved playing ball. And it wasn't that he played too long because he had money. He needed money. He just loved the limelight. He loved being out there. He was a ball player. So in the independent league that the Long Island Ducks were in, he was playing for one of the Jersey teams, believe it or not. Now, he could not have been making a lot of money. But, I mean, can you imagine seeing Ricky Henderson out there just, you love that.
Oh, man.
You love that. So I want to ask you a couple of questions now about some sports that you do follow and you know a lot about, but you're not deep dive like you are WWE, baseball, and football. College football, 12-team format. What do you think? 12-team playoff format as opposed to 4 teams. What do you think?
I mean, number one, the fact that we don't have to sit there and go, well, a 1-win team got in over a 0-loss team, but they had tougher opponents and this and this. It's almost like you're justifying it. Like sometimes we do things in life, right, where we know we probably shouldn't do something, but we have to put something out there to explain why it is okay that we did what we did. And I feel like it was just a constant, well, it makes sense, though, that this 14-0 team didn't get in and this 2-loss Alabama team got in because on this week they did this and they scored more points. So it's never going to be a perfect system. But you feel much better about team number 13 and 14 not getting in. And
Yes.
what a bust. They shouldn't have got in. Bottom line, if they're 13, 14 not getting in, but when you have a 5, 6, 7 team not getting in for valid reasons, I always think back to the UCF days of their season and where they didn't get to what they didn't get to accomplish. So that always comes to mind. Mark, good to see you here. Mark in the chat. Go Irish.
Just annihilated Indiana. That game was not nearly as close as the final score. They just let Indiana get a big dose of reality that, sorry, you're playing with the big men out there. And listen, enjoy your long off season.
Yep. Yeah. And so when is one thing I don't know myself with the college football playoff format, is it weekly, the round until we get to the
ish. So what's going to happen when I say ish, a day or two off, but basically weekly. So, for example, the Irish will play on New Year's Day. I believe they'll play in the Sugar Bowl, and they'll get the opportunity to beat the heck out of Georgia. So they'll get to trash Georgia, the Georgia Dogs, 2-time, back-to-back national champions. They will go down against the Irish. Ohio State annihilated Tennessee. So Joe wants to see a Notre Dame Ohio State final. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It is. And a lot of controversy even at 13, but I so agree with that assessment. That was great that you have a lot more understanding of 13 not getting in than the 5th or 6th seed, because then you get into really that common opponent, this or that. You ready for another question?
I am ready.
All right. Hand on the buzzer.
But no.
All right, no. Well, why answer it? Hold on. 1 second.
And it's great to see some college football fans here in the chat. I'll remember that for future episodes. You might be getting a text from me to come on and talk some college football. So just keep your phones ready.
1 second.
And just have a quick moment here in the chat. Again, if you have any questions, NFL related, baseball related, Christmas related, anything related outside of soap operas, go ahead and throw it into the chat. We will do our best to answer those questions. And if it is a soap opera question, be better. No, if it is a soap opera question, we'll get the answer to you if you really need it.
So, you know about the NBA Cup?
The NBA Cup.
Yeah, so what was going on was during the early season of the NBA, they were paying teams to have this kind of this tournament within the regular season, and it counts. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
Because there's all that load management, people taking time off. I mean, and you'd watch pitiful basketball. And then some marketing geek from the Little Sisters of the Poor University just came up with this idea that, hey, let's pay every player $500,000 to try harder, and we'll give them a cup. So there was this contest of within the games, rivalry games, and we're going to paint the NBA floor this obnoxious color scheme because basically, and the Bucks won it all. So games that count anyway, they gave them a cup and gave them $500,000. I mean, so basically you're paying players to try harder during the regular season when they're supposed to try hard in the first place. Does that interest you?
I mean, definitely. My first reaction just started laughing. Actually, I didn't know about it, and now I'm sure. I'm so positive years from now, where people are going to remember who won that first cup. I'm really, but I understand. Like, I don't. Sometimes one of the things you talk about, sometimes you don't want to sound like old man speaking to clouds. I don't want to sound like old man speaking to clouds, because there is something to trying to make the product better outside of just the natural spring. Like, I do appreciate leagues trying to be better, trying to think outside the box, trying to draw in some new fans. But I think what's happening here is that there's panic sitting in. They're not putting the numbers up anywhere near they used to, and so they're just grasping for straws at this point and trying to have something stick. That is definitely not the answer. I know tournaments are fun, but the way the NBA is structured right now, that's not something, especially with all 30 teams, right, are included, I'm assuming, in this cup.
Yep. Oh, yeah. That's where it starts, and it whittles down, and yeah.
Because that would be interesting. You have a team that is dreadful. Like, what would that mean? That, like, I think if I remember, the Bucks were like third in their conference last season, but you had a team like the Detroit Pistons winning the cup. I mean, what? So
it's just nobody cares. I mean, and they get a banner. I mean, it's like intramural banner. And what are you doing? So,
well, I learn something new every day. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mentioned this. Now, this is another question about all sports, right? Even though Wilborn from PTI, and I'm a real fan of his. He takes a nice, novel, intellectual approach, but funny at the same time. He was talking about how the NBA has a drop-off since 2012 of 50% viewership. Gone. And he said that that's actually happening in all sports except for football because they gamble. People gamble. But he says, and I want you to think about this. Do you think this is true? Nobody watches games anymore. They watch highlights.
I think in certain sports, yes, but in most, no. I think so. I'll start with this. So I think it was earlier today, or maybe it was last Sunday. And so you mentioned highlights, and I think the 1 o'clock game for NFL had just ended, and they're covering the games. And the first game that they covered, I don't remember what it was, but it was like 42-39 game riddled with highlights. And it was like 11 seconds of highlights. They said the so-and-so defeated the so-and-so, and they showed one touchdown pass, and then they showed the score. And then they went to the next game. It feels like the highlights are completely rushed, and I get they have limited time or whatnot, but I know that I'm not a highlights person unless I miss it. Like, I would not prefer the highlight to actually watching the game because there's little subtleties that you miss. That's why I love, as a Mets fan, I like watching the entire game because I love the broadcast team. I want to miss certain things like that. You lose that with highlights and stuff. So highlights are great because you can't watch every NFL game. You want to see, but I would rather look at scores than watch highlights.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm a box score guy. And so others in the chat, if you're here and you this topic interests you, welcome to throw if you watch games or highlights. I prefer a game and just perusing and looking over. I like to once a week. I like to type in, NFL standings, MLB standings, NHL standings, that sort of thing. So we do have a question in the chat that says, what was the bigger upset, Giants beating the undefeated Patriots, and not periods, I'm sure, in the Super Bowl, or USA beating the in USSR in the Olympics in 1980? So good question.
You want me to answer it?
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't even close. It doesn't mean that that was not a tremendous win by the Giants, but you cannot compare the two. I'll tell you why. Because you had an undefeated team. Now, harken back. The last game of the regular season, the Giants almost beat the Patriots in that game. All right? Mm-hmm. Russia, USSR, as he said, he's right. USSR beat the American team in Madison Square Garden 10-2 1 week before they played again in the Olympics. So the USSR just beat the NHL All-Stars. And they got beat by a bunch of kids in college. There was not even a semi-pro player on because back then you couldn't get paid. If you got paid, you couldn't play, on the American teams. These were straight college kids. And I agree.
Yeah, and
Um,
we hear a lot of times any given Sunday in the NFL, and as impressive as the Giants win was, you said it very well that is a I'm not gonna say once in a lifetime, but that's a once in a several decade uh, thing that's going to be talked about, and so that would definitely be number one for me. I'm sure I'm trying to think of some other big upsets in my time, but I don't know if anything can beat that just because all the dynamics that went into it. But yes, like that hockey game was insane um, because you think about, if the Giants were to play the Patriots 10 times in a row, which wouldn't happen, but you're going to get a 6-4 or 7-3. You could make a case that if that same USA team played Russia 10 times, it would be 9-1 or 10-0, and that we got the one. So that's how I would answer that one. So, and Happy New Year, Heather, as well. Thank you. Hopefully, definitely get to spend some time with you guys before the new year.
So
if not, that would be lame, but we'll get together. Yeah.
So I know we'll have a New Year's wrap-up show, end of the year wrap-up show next week, but can I ask a couple of those kind of questions, little teasers?
Yes.
69 Mets, great idea. You know what's very funny about that? I agree with you, Joe. However, Tom Steven, I mentioned this on our show, Mike. He believes that he used your analogy, 10 games. He said that the Mets would have beat the Orioles 7 out of 10 games. He said that the pitching was just better on the Mets.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that going in.
Yeah.
So, what was your favorite television series / show / miniseries / something on a subscription service this year that you watched? It didn't have to come from this year. So, but what was the best thing you watched in your house on your television / streaming service this year?
And that could be anything, not in the sports. You're talking just anything in the series. Some stinkers this year and some good stuff this year.
A lot of stinkers.
A lot of stinkers. I usually give it the 15-minute stinker test, and then if it's past that 15 minutes, it still stinks. Then, I move on. I just want to make sure before I answer that I'm not leaving something out.
We have next week too, if you forgot.
Yeah. Maybe we'll, maybe if I say one, but we'll I guess we should cover that next week. We'll, start thinking about that.
Then I'll put out a tease there.
Yeah.
And both are somewhat recent. I like these short series on Netflix. These like 8 weeks, 10 weeks. But I would say, I got to tell you, I know Tulsa King started 2 years ago. I really enjoy Tulsa King, and very, very much. It's a lot of fun. Though the season finale this year, I was like, oh, don't take this turn. But it was good, very, very good. And I like Landman very much. Billy Bob Thornton is a wonderful actor. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of jokes. So those are my two favorite things I've seen.
A lot of those series, you have to go before you watch it. You have to mentally prepare. Okay, this is 6 episodes. This is 10 episodes. Because the absolute worst thing you can do is pick a series and get ready for the next episode, and then it cuts to a completely different movie, a completely different show, and you're screaming at the TV. Wait a minute, are you telling me there's no more? That's how they ended it, and there's no more episodes. And then some, if you don't know, you'll pull it up and you don't realize that the actual series has ended, and you're excited for the next one, and you do some Google searching and you find out that your show is never coming back, and that's absolutely worse. So you got to definitely do some research before you.
I hate that.
Yeah, put that. Oh, and thank you, Joe. I was going to ask, but thank you, Joe, for that update. Dallas 13, Bucks 7. So hopefully Tampa turns that around here. So I'm sure Dallas coming out, to play today because they're eliminated, so they want to show that they're in there. Mom put their love Tulsa King. I can't wait until it comes on regular TV. I don't have Paramount Plus.
Listen, I'm just saying something, Marianne. Listen, I know your son. I know maybe a Christmas gift. I'm just throwing it out there. Who knows? Maybe. Just saying.
Yes. And Marianne just celebrated her 81st birthday. We just had lunch last week. We went to a really awesome, authentic Italian restaurant here locally, and it was really good. I
Feliz
forgot how good it
cumpleaños.
was. Close.
Which is
but
no, that's happy birthday in Spanish. Feliz cumpleaños.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
No, it's very true.
Very true. Mostly true. Mostly true. Put it in the chat if it's true.
Listen, let's ask, Marianne, may I ask you a question? And please, I have some friends who are listening right now who thought I had 9 heads when I told them this, that really the Italian way to have your salad is after the main meal, not before. Am I wrong?
After the main meal.
Yeah, after the main meal. Salad was supposed to be last.
Do they still have a dessert also, or do they just
No, you can have your dessert after that. But
okay.
like the salad was supposed to be for digestion. And pasta was supposed to be a pre-gamer. You're supposed to have a little bit of like a little bit of spaghetti before your main course.
That's interesting. That's the first time I've ever heard that. All I know is that the different size forks between the salad and the entree, but that's the extent of that. Oh, she does say yes, so she is. Yes.
Thank you, Joe. Jonah, because Joe and I, we talk 69 Mats, we talk USSR. Thank you. Just saying.
Yep. Yeah. But when it comes, and the last thing I'll say, and with the sitcoms or the series too,
So I just got a text from somebody. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just got a text from somebody very chatty. Gave me the nope about salad after the meal. Yes, salad after the meal. Thank you. And see, Marianne Redmond, great last name, by the way. Yes, you are supposed to have salad first. No, last, not first. Last. You're supposed to have your spaghetti first.
Yeah.
She just changed. Thank you.
With salad.
Ladies are sticking together.
With salad, though, like, I love a good salad, but I think by the end of it, by the time I fill up my salad with everything, it's probably more unhealthy than the other option that I'm not having because I'm having the salad. I did find out you're not supposed to put half the jar of Italian dressing in the salad. I was not aware.
No, it's not supposed to be soup. It's salad. It's soup or salad, not salad as soup.
Right, but now with the red vinegar, if your lips are white, that's not a good thing, correct? Because
no,
I believe no. Okay, good to know. I do want to ask this question as we got a few minutes here. Just gonna let's have some quick, no time to think about it. We'll go
Old
back
school,
to
that's right.
For just a minute. And you guys can put your answer in the chat as well. Old school, yes. If you're still here, you can put the answer in the chat. But Darren, I'm going to throw out 6 names for you, and just tell me the team that you believe this remaining free agent is going to be on this team. So not including people that have recently signed. So I'm going to just throw 6 names at you. What you think off the cuff where they're going to end up, MLB wise. You ready?
I'm ready. Got my hand on the button.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So outfielder from the Baltimore Orioles, Anthony Santander.
He's going to resign.
He is going to resign. So I think so too. I know most projections show that the Baltimore's not even on the list. Most projections are saying Blue Jays, Guardians, Phillies, but I do see him resigning. I think Baltimore has spent too much time rebuilding. I don't feel like they're going to let their pieces fall apart there. So I agree with that one. Third baseman, Alex Bregman.
Well, he did not want to go where he was. Where was he? He was supposed to be he was going to sign someplace. It fell through. Bregman, believe it or not, you ready? Boston.
Okay, that's good. I like when it's not just what everybody else thinks. I think they're some people are expecting Astros, Diamondbacks, Mariners, but I think outside the box for sure. What about the Japanese sensation Roki Sasaki? I know. I'm sure, a lot of the California markets would love to have the guy, but what are your early thoughts on him?
Well, the Giants or the Mets, and I'm not ready to say that it will be the Giants. I'm leaning hard toward the Giants, The Mets want to make another splash. The Yankees have done some great things right now with a lot of the B and C choices. I really like what they did. I mean, I thought they were going to get Alonso up to the most recent signing with the 1 year deal for $13 million. I think he's going to go to the Mets.
You do? Okay. That is interesting. It could happen. I know Dodgers.
Which means he thinks I'm wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't hate it. I definitely would not hate it. I do want to ask you about probably the best starting pitcher on the market, Corbin Burns. Do you see him going back to Baltimore, or do you see him signing a long-term deal somewhere else?
I don't think Baltimore's going to lose anyone. I think he'll re-sign with Baltimore. Though the Red Sox may get him too. Red Sox have to compete.
Yeah, definitely. Also got to ask about one of the best, another good starting pitcher on the market, Jack Flaherty. I believe he was a 4 or 5 for the Dodgers, but definitely could be a top of the rotation guy for most teams. Any team you think would be a good fit for him?
Yep, Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay. And there's somebody on the Mets. I'm trying to remember his name. I think it's Pistol Pete. Pete Alonso, of course, is the big one, the big hanging fruit there. And I feel like we're no closer to an answer than we were 4 weeks ago. But here we are right before Christmas. I feel like nothing's going to get done until New Year. But what are your taking off your Mets fan hat? Where do you think he winds up?
I think every Met fan thinks he's going to resign. I think that he can resign. But I think the last offer was what? $160 million, I think. He may say sayonara and go to like a Colorado, and put up some monster numbers. Though I will tell you this: the Mets should overpay for him and keep him. I'll tell you why. He's clutch. He was real clutch in this playoffs. He was much more clutch than Juan Soto. Let's call it the way it is. Much more than Aaron Judge.
Yeah, and I've got to ask you this because you mentioned that overpaying. Do you think that signing Soto before getting a deal done with him possibly changed his trajectory, or do you think he's still kind of just getting all the intel where he wants to go?
No, I think it's all the intel because it's the same agent, right?
Yeah.
Same agent.
Yeah. I do think that when it's all said and done, and I could be completely wrong here, but my opinion, the most important transaction of this offseason, and if you're a fan in the chat, you can your comments, more so than one. I know, the Mets, it's easy to, if Juan Soto goes 0 for 2 game 1, we're going to hear about it, right? It's going to be a disaster. Oh, terrible trade or terrible pickup, all that good stuff. But to me, the most important free agency signing for me was the Atlanta Braves losing their starting pitcher, Max Fried, to the New York Yankees. I think he's going to be the most impactful. And I think Joe would agree, as good as the Yankees were last season, it still feel like there was another gear that they never got to. And I think he is a difference maker. And I know losing Soto is a big punch to the gut, but they'll be just fine. They'll fill in the gaps where they need to. But I think that's a difference maker. That's a game changer. And that makes them already better than they were last season, assuming, of course, that he can stay healthy. I think very highly of him, and that's a big hit to Atlanta. Don't think Atlanta will have trouble, filling some pieces here and there because they're very good at developing pitching. But I think he's the big guy for me.
No, I agree. And listen, him leaving the Braves helps the Mets immensely. I was so happy to see him go. Yeah, for sure. And so I do want to also, so in closing here, unless you have another pending question, I just wanted to... I know we have to close, but real quick, tell everybody about your upcoming show on Monday nights.
Yes, thank you. So starting, please set your calendar. If you're a fan, you're not a fan, we're going to have a ton of fun. And I'm sure Darren will pop on from time to time when he's available. I know he usually works on that evening. But on Monday nights, starting on January 5th, It's a big deal for me. I've been a WWE wrestling fan for as long as I can remember. I think my first word was Hulk Hogan. So I'm thinking that on January 5th, when WWE goes to Netflix, this is a big deal. This is a 10-year, $5 billion deal. And what that tells me is that Netflix believes we've not seen very much live streaming on Netflix, but we have seen there were some lagging issues and all that kind of stuff. But WWE is going all in on this Netflix deal. It's not just going to be a new show. They are bringing everybody to this. You're going to see John Cena. You're going to see The Rock. You're going to see some big WrestleMania quality matches. It's treated like a WrestleMania, even though it's just a Monday Night Raw. They're going to pull all the punches, and I have all the confidence in Triple H, what they're doing, that they're going to continue that. And so starting on January 5th, myself and a different co-host each week. So, for example, a good friend of mine, Tevin Powell, he is our youth pastor at our church, newly youth pastor, is going to be doing that review with me. It's going to be a live watch along every first Monday of every month. He will be the guy on with me, and then we'll have some others, Brian Anderson, and others that will fill in the pockets as well. But on that Monday, January 5th, right live at 8 o'clock, as it is on, we are going to do a live watch along. So with the live watch alongs, you can still have the audio of the event on, but it can't be any picture or video. So you won't be watching the watch along, actually seeing the show, but you're getting our media feedback as things are happening live rather than recap. There's a lot of good recap shows out there, like hundreds of good recap shows out there. There's not many places to go to watch a live streaming review. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring the show to you in just, if you missed it. Joe mentions ALW. They're an up-and-coming promotion here in Florida. They've been at it for many, many years. They're pulling in a lot of older talent to come back for signings and things like that. So doing a lot of good things. So, I know Joe was never a wrestling guy, but it's a great place to bring your family. So it's a good promotion. Getting back to WWE, I'm just really excited for that. It's going to be so much fun to go real time and to watch it when it's on. So super excited. So mark your calendars. Every Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we'll be covering Monday Night Raw. We're not quite sure how it's going to work yet with commercials and how long they're going to be. So we're going to cover it as long as we can.
So another real quick question, because we talk sports, we talk food, right? What does a Mike Redmond eat during a WWE event? From home, not at the event.
So, on the Monday night shows, it's just whatever. Usually, I'm getting back from a Christmas extravaganza meeting, or I've got this or I've got that. When it comes to the big pay-per-views, or they call them PLEs, which are premium live events now, because you don't have to pay for them. They're part of your Peacock package and all that stuff. So we'll typically have some people over. It's usually got to be some sort of pizza from a legit pizza place. I try to shy away. Now, the thing is, if it's just a couple people,
say it, because you're from Brooklyn. Say it. You're right. A legit pizza place.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to save a few bucks, like sometimes we prefer Papa John's Pizza Hut because we know we're going to get our pizza in 35, 40 minutes. Sometimes the smaller chains that are more authentic, they're going to take an hour and a half, 2 hours. Couldn't count how many times I said, "Oh yeah, I'm not in the mood for Domino's. I'll go drive and pick up the pizza." By the time I get back, it's like an hour and 45 minutes went by. So if you're patient and you have the time, I get it. But so when we had people over this last time for the Survivor Series, I ordered an extra large pie, not realizing that it would be the entire size of my kitchen counter. Ordered 2 extra large pies. Is ridiculous, but we still finished it all somehow, some way. Men can eat. That's all I can say.
Yes. Remember, my favorite slice is the next one.
Yes. So taco helmet. Yes, Joe. You know what? Maybe for the Royal Rumble, I'll if you come over, we'll have taco helmets, Joe. If you want to come by for that. So yeah, usually it's a pizza just because it's the easiest way to feed everybody. And with church the next morning,
we just got chirped. We just got chirped about Domino's. Like, what? No Domino's? Domino's is good when it's a late at night and you just got to grab something. It's got its place.
Yeah, definitely. Good pizza is worth the wait. One of my absolute favorite traditions every year, I say traditions, but is once a year, Eileen and I, the family actually go to Joe's place and we're big fans of Big Brother. And so at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, we'll go over and usually it's a pizza and it's a really good pizza. and we just have a good time of fellowship for a couple hours, and then we watch the episode together and go some swimming and hot tubs and stuff like that. So one of my favorite times of the year. I wish Big Brother was on more often so we could do that more often, but I really enjoy going over there for that. And so Joe always, they're very good hosts. So definitely Joe and Abigail, and very excited tomorrow. We're talking Christmas, so I got to throw this in there. Tomorrow evening, myself, Eileen, and Joseph and Abigail, we are going to be going to the Christmas celebration at SeaWorld Orlando. So I'm very excited about that. It's a Christmas. Those of you familiar with SeaWorld, we had an episode many months back about SeaWorld, but what I'm really excited about is the Christmas offerings that they have. If they do Christmas better than any other theme parks, not even close. There's no additional add-ons. You're not paying $200 for a Disney extra ticket on top of the already ticket. You're basically getting all these different offerings. They do Oh Wondrous Night. They have a Christmas parade, a fireworks finale, a sea of trees, winter wonderland full of all different sorts of with ice skating, things like that. And their eats that they have so many good food options and hot cocos and frozen ice chocolates and eggnogs and things like that. So you can get a little lanyard, you pay a little money, get a lanyard, get to sample all things. And I'm not talking sample size. Like each item you get is like almost like a full portion. So it's just an awesome night. We have the snow because we won't ever get real snow here. So we're just top to bottom, all the rides, attractions, all that stuff's open, but it's just a great time of fellowship, of just shows and just good weather. It's not too hot, usually in the high 60s in the evening. So really excited to go tomorrow night in the evening for that. So definitely looking forward to that. I don't have much of a voice left, but I'll do the best I can tomorrow there and when we're getting together. So one of my annual traditions is to go to SeaWorld during Christmas, just to experience all that they have to offer. It's the closest that we get to New York Christmas for sure. So
that's great.
Yes. So definitely we'll recap that next Sunday here on the show. I do want to mention as we go, unless you have any final thoughts, we will be back, like you said, to have a year-end review next week on the 29th. We may or may not have a guest, but we're going to be here kind of recapping all things and things like that. So super excited for that. But I do want to also mention the first Sunday of January, so January 2025, we are going to have a guest on. One of the best things I like about our show, although we typically always, we usually are in the sports world, but we sometimes deviate from that just because we say around the ballpark. So on your way to the ballpark, you have different experiences that you're talking about, different things like that. So this is a little bit out there in terms of what we usually cover, but it's so important, and she's a great friend of ours. So we're going to be talking. Her name is Kim Curie, and you're going to get to know her a lot. But she is a beautiful person in terms of just inside and out and all the things that she gets her hands in. And so she deals with assisting those that are part of human trafficking and human trafficking survivors and getting a fresh start and so many cool things that she does. And so very excited to kind of dive into that. We will still talk a little sports because she is a diehard Steelers fan and she is a big sports fan as well. So still be some sports related content, but that's going to be awesome. Her company is called A New Life International. So definitely going to be a great episode to start out the new year with some important topics. So looking forward to that. But Darren, do you have anything else?
Well, just to tie that one into a bow before I go to something fun, I've done a lot of work in that field. Just listening and getting the word out about this sex trafficking is still going on, people. It's going on, and right under our noses every single day. I am so grateful, Mike, that you have our guest coming on the 5th. I look forward to that conversation, hearing what she has to say, and lend any support that I can from this end. Because, as you know, I've interviewed many people who have been the victim of that. And it's horrible. Forced marriages, sexual trafficking. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah, terrible thing. And those of you who have not got the opportunity, now it's a tearjerker. You'll get the tissues ready. But if you haven't got the opportunity to see that movie, Sound of Freedom, it's a beautiful story, but it's also not beautiful because it's, the content in there. So it's not for everyone. It can be a little sensitive, but it's it's an important movie, and I'm glad that it was told and it was done very, very well. So yeah, definitely check that movie out if you have not already.
And next week, also at the year end, we're going to talk some. We'll have to talk some movies. Shameless plug. You see that? Remember the D&D Diner. We talk about movies. I'm going to give you a warning right now. Your favorite and Eileen's favorite movie this year, and the one that disappointed you the most, and why?
And why? Okay.
Ooh.
So she's actually, as we speak, getting caught up with the that it was a couple months back, the Wolverine movie. So she's in there laughing at that. I haven't seen that. Aiden, I haven't seen that one yet, so I'll have to get her feedback on that one. But the D&D Diner, I do keep an eye on that because they don't get to go as often as I'd like. However, the movie theater by us, there's other theaters that do that, but they're starting in February, I believe, doing that $19.99 a month for.
That's what I do. I live on that. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, I wish we lived a little closer to where it is, but that's the one we like to go to the most. So I'm excited for that. Even if we only get to go twice a month, it's still worth it based on the stuff.
Absolutely.
So, but before we go, just because we're on talking movies, I do want to end with this. Did you ever hear of? I don't know if it made it up to New York, but are you familiar with Movie Pass? The original Movie Pass, not the. I don't know if you knew what happened with that, but it was such a debacle. So the first round of Movie Pass, not the reinvented one, the original. What happened was it was same kind of deal, but it was basically paid $19.99 a month, or actually it was $9.99 a month, and you got 3 movies a week for the entire month. It was kind of like the first of its kind. But what happened though is they had to, so basically they treated it as a prepaid card. So it wasn't just you pay for the subscription and you get 3 and that's it. So you could actually see unlimited movies, not just 3. You could actually go every day, as long as it wasn't the same movie twice, you could see, but you had to, while supplies last kind of thing. But what happened was because in New York, let's say a movie ticket could be $17.50, whereas in Florida it's $9.50. So this card was prepaid $17.50 a day, every single day, because they had to, because in the event that someone went, it had to work. Well, people were able to finagle and go use it on other things that were not movie related. They were buying groceries, they were getting gym memberships, all that sort of thing. And they went out of business faster than you could imagine. It was like 3 to 4 months and they were done. Even got to the point, and you knew they were on their way out because 2 months into it, all of a sudden it went from every movie, a different movie a day, to 2 movies a week, but they picked which movies it was. It wasn't, you couldn't get the blockbuster. It was the 9:40 showing of this one or the 10 o'clock showing of it. And you could just tell, and there was no change in costs or anything like that. And so I'm glad that I know I think they're back, or they're doing like a phase 3 opening. Hopefully they got their stuff together.
Right.
But that was just a disaster. I don't know how that could even.
But I got to tell you, for me, I mean, AMC does a good job, but I do the Regal $19.99 or $21.99 a month, and I get a discount on my popcorn, and I see about 4 or 5 movies a month, and for $21, can't beat that.
No, can't beat that at all. Because if you go, it just the movie ticket, the popcorn, and a drink alone, forget it. You love those deals where it's like, the popcorn and the drink for $25. It's like, oh gosh. But the movie ticket, if you can save on that by doing that, it's definitely well worth it.
Look, I just went to see Musafa, right? And so it cost me nothing to see the movie, and it cost me $1.38 for a large popcorn.
Oh, because of all the perks and stuff. That's awesome. Wow.
Because I've been going so much. It's ridiculous. And
ridiculous.
So it's just great. Anyway.
So, well, thank you guys all. This is a blast. So we will be back same time, or probably 8 o'clock next Sunday, the 29th, for our year in review, again, celebrating our 1,500 subscribers, 1,501 subscribers. So super thankful, appreciative.
Maybe
again,
we can get somebody else or two to sign up tonight. Why not?
Why not? Well, yeah, why not? Please do spread the word. Again, we'll thank you, Chris Bennett. Hopefully you're having a great time out there in Dallas. Well deserved. You work so hard. You guys do so good for the community. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. And we will see you a week from tonight. And until next time, everybody, we'll see you around the ballpark or at SeaWorld.